now look at each of the 5 A's in turn. First, attention, and I begin with a quotation by the British psychiatrist D.W. Winnicott. "It is a joy to be hidden, but a disaster not to be found." Every mammal feels instinctively that it needs and deserves full parental attentiveness. When a parent is only halfway attentive, the child notices and feels uneasy. The mother leopard does not have her mind on her grooming while she is feeding her young, nor does she demand that her young groom her and wait for their dinner. Her single-minded attention gives them healthy priorities later in life. Children's psychic life becomes confused if they have to take care of a parent or make sense of one, because that is the reverse of what children instinctively expect. Attention to you means engaged focus on you. It means sensitivity to your needs and feelings. Did your parents pay at least as much attention to you as they did to the TV? Did your father notice and attend to your feelings and fears with the same care that he showed his car? Did he ever concentrate on you for as long as he did on a ball game? Watching your every move, even if it comes from a desire to protect you, is not attention, but intrusion or surveillance. In truly loving attention, you are noticed, not scrutinized. Overprotectiveness is a rejection of your power and thus of you. Authentic attention comes to you anytime, not just when you present a problem. Such statements as "children should be seen, not heard," are odious to a parent committed to paying attention to his child. One of the characters in a J.D. Salinger novel says, "My father turned to me as if he had been waiting all his life to hear my question. Was I listened to like that? Did I matter that way?" If we missed out on attention when we were children, we might have learned to attend to ourselves, to become more and more creative, to look for attention from adults other than our parents. In this way, deficiency became something beneficial, the pothole that became the portal. Likewise, our ability to reach out as adults may be directly proportional to our recognition that what we needed in our childhood was not there to be had. Seeing that deficiency in the past will help us see it in a present relationship and not keep looking for something that we need in a container that is empty. Attunement is attentiveness that is mirrored from one person to another. Attentiveness means noticing and hearing words, feelings, and experience. In a moment of authentic attention, we feel that we are deeply and truly understood in what we say or do, and in who we are. Nothing left out. Likewise, we can attune to others' feelings, needs, bodily reactions, comfort levels with closeness, degrees of willingness. For example, whether someone is acting out of coercion and compliance rather than true concurrence. We cannot tune in on someone if we assume certain feelings are right and others wrong. To attune to someone, we need neutrality toward all feelings and moods, toward inner states, and a fearless openness, what comes in mindfulness. Only with such pure attention can we see beyond bravado to terror, beyond stolidity to turmoil. This is how attention becomes compassion through attunement. Whatever in us has failed to find attunement stays folded up within us or becomes a source of shame. Faulty attunement in early life may lead to fear of standing up for ourselves later, or keep us from trusting that others will come through for us. Faulty attunement can make us scared and lonely too. We fear exposing some regions of our psychic topography because of our inbred despair of ever finding the requisite human mirroring. But attuned attention creates an ever-widening zone of trust and safety. We feel encouraged to look for rather than wait for, our submerged longings to emerge, and our stunted hopes to assume their full dimensions. We believe they will be attended to at last. This is love in the form of mindful attention, and we feel safe in it. Implicit in such attentiveness to our truth is truth from the one providing it. We trust him to say what is true for him, and that is where our sense of safety comes from. The first A is the core of mindfulness. Attention means bringing something or someone into focus, so it is no longer blurred by the projections of your own ego. Thus, it requires genuine interest and curiosity about the mysterious and surprising truth that is you. A parent or partner who has gotten to know you in a superficial way may only be meeting up with her beliefs about you. Those beliefs or biases can endure for years, preventing the person from taking in the kind of information that would reveal the real you. The real you is an abundant potential, not a list of traits, and intimacy can only happen when you are always expanding in others' hearts, not pigeonholed in their minds. Our identity is like a kaleidoscope. With each turn, we reset it, not to a former or final state, but to a new one that reflects the here and now positions of the pieces we have to work with. The design is always new because the shifts are continual. That is what makes kaleidoscopes and us so appealing and beautiful. Parents and partners who give us attention love to see the evolving kaleidoscope of us. The desire for attention is not a desire for an audience, but for a listener. Attention means focusing on you with respect, not with contempt or ridicule. When you are given attention, your intuitions are treated as if they matter. You are taken seriously. You are given credit when it is due. Your feelings have such high value to those who love you that they are on the lookout for them. They even look for the feelings you are afraid to know, and they gently inquire whether you want to show them. When others give you attention, they also confront you directly when they are displeased, harboring no secret anger or grudges, but they always do this with respect and a sincere desire to keep the lines of communication open. Attention, like the other 4 A's, is given in a trusting atmosphere of holding. Acceptance. In Buddhism, there is a phrase, the glance of mercy, which refers to looking at other human beings with acceptance and understanding. Acceptance means we are received respectfully with all our feelings, choices, and personal traits and supported through them. This makes us feel safe about knowing and giving ourselves to others. Our ability to be intimate grows in accordance with how safe we feel, and that safety is based primarily on how authentically we were accepted in early life. But even after we grow up, moments and months of acceptance by other adults can fill in some of what we may have missed as children, so that intimacy is still an option for all of us. As with all the 5 A's, it is never too late to find acceptance or to learn to show it. If we lacked acceptance in childhood, we might have felt ashamed or inadequate, but we also might have compensated for the lack in a positive way by finding a center of evaluation in ourselves, thus becoming less dependent on others' approval. So now as adults, we are swayed neither by criticism nor by flattery. We learned early on to ground our self-worth in the depths of our own psyche. This not only builds our self-esteem, but also makes it easier for us to accept others. Since we are not trying to get something from them, we can appreciate them and accept them as they are. How much my parents missed out on when they could not let this happen between us. To accept their children, parents must be free of preconceived plans or agendas for them. These parental representations can begin before birth and range from, "This will be a boy," to, "This baby will be a spark plug in our marriage. He will make it work." Or, "This girl will do what I couldn't do." Each is a subtle rejection of our individuality, with its limitations and potentials. Parents can accept us only after they succeed in dismantling their original representation of us in favor of the person we are turning out to be. This means not being disappointed with us for breaking a bargain we never made. Acceptance is unconditional, since it means validating someone's choices and lifestyle even when we do not agree with them. It is the opposite of moralizing. Acceptance is a style of pure mindfulness. We see all that is and feel all that we feel about what is, but then we focus only on what is as it is. Acceptance is approval, a word with a bad name in some psychologies. Yet it is perfectly normal to seek approval in childhood and throughout life. We require approval from those we respect. Approval is a necessary component of self-esteem. It becomes a problem only when we give up our true self to find it. Then approval seeking works against us. In attention, you are heard and noticed. In acceptance, you are embraced as worthy, not compared to your siblings, but trusted, empowered, understood, and fully approved of as you are in your own uniqueness. You sense a kindly support of your path, no matter how unusual, of your feelings, no matter how disturbing, of your deficiencies, no matter how irritating. These are not only tolerated, but encouraged and cherished. You are perfectly you, and that is enough. Rather than expecting you to meet a standard, your parents eagerly await your full emergence as yourself, no matter how different you may be from them, or how divergent from their wishes. Yes, there really are people who love like this. Did your parents believe in you? Did they come through for you? Were they reliable? Did they stand up for you? Did they refuse to give up on you no matter what? The psychologist Heinz Kohut wrote, "The more secure a person is regarding his own acceptability, the more certain his sense of who he is, and the more safely internalized his system of values, the more self-confidently and effectively will he be able to offer his love, without undue feelings of rejection and humiliation." Appreciation. Appreciation gives depth to acceptance. I admire you, I delight in you, I prize you, I respect you, I acknowledge you in all your potential. I appreciate you as unique. To acquire the riches of personal worth and self-confidence, we need just such encouragement. Human evolution proceeds from human accomplishments and consequent validations, but it also proceeds from one person's faith in another's value. A parent's belief that a child has great potential actually engenders that potential in the child. Long-held and continually affirmed belief gives people the capacity to make it come true. Many centuries of belief in the healing power of faith, for instance, make more and more faith healings happen. In this and in all 5 A's, fulfillment of the need instills that quality in the personality. Appreciation also includes gratitude for any kindness or gift we might have or bestow. Appreciation as gratitude recognizes us and how we extend ourselves. Because intimacy is about giving and receiving, appreciation fosters closeness. When we give, we instinctively await a thank you. This is not a middle-class or selfish expectation, but a wish that the transaction be completed in the normal way. We know something is missing in a relationship if gratitude is lacking. Is the following description of the mindful appreciation familiar to you? Someone acknowledged and cherished your unconditional worth, without envy or possessiveness, expressing these feelings verbally and non-verbally. The appreciation came as an understanding of what you were capable of or what you felt, validating the mystery of you. It also came as a word of praise, a wink when you did something well, a pat on the shoulder when you excelled, a loving look when you were just yourself. Thanks for something you did or gave or simply were. The ratio of appreciation to complaint in couples that stay together is 5 to 1, according to the research of psychologist John M. Gottman of the University of Washington in Seattle. Indeed, behind every complaint is a wish for one of the 5 A's. When we blow up or feel dejected, we may be experiencing the lack of one or more of these 5 A's. I see you are feeling unappreciated may be an accurate and compassionate response to a partner who is angrily complaining. The next A we consider is affection. To give and receive love is our primary need in life. We express love emotionally, spiritually, and physically. An affectionate touch or hug from someone who really loves us can penetrate our bodies and restore our souls. All our fears, no matter how deep, can be erased by a single loving stroke. Love cannot be defined in a universal way because our experience of love is ours alone. Just as there is no single universal signature, but only unique personal signatures, so there is no love in general, only unique love, uniquely experienced by each unique person. I learn what love is when I first feel loved. It is then encoded in every cell of my body, and the love I feel later in life may have to replicate that original experience if it is to feel authentic. If I first felt loved by being held when I was hurting, or by being given credit, or by being paid attention to, or by being given things, my body will remember that all my life, and when it happens again, I will feel it as love. I may perceive loving as receiving things, so I keep trying to get others to help me or give me things. Someone may appear to wink at me, and I may take that as love and cling to him, even though he may have only been clearing a speck from his eye. Love in adulthood is a re-experiencing of the love every cell remembers. The way we were loved in early life is the way we want to be loved all our lives. Most of us know just what it takes for us to feel loved. What we have to learn is how to ask for it. A partner is not a mind reader, so it is up to each of us to tell our partner what our brand of love is. And if we have to teach our partner how to love us, we also have to learn how to love him. Knowing this makes it clear that love is not a sentimental feeling, but a conscious choice to give and receive in unique and often challenging ways. Heinz Kohut wrote, "The child's bodily display is responded to with a gleam in his mother's eye." Affection throughout life includes being loved as we look, with our body shape, our style of grooming, our choice of clothes, whether or not they conform to the current model of excellence. Our way of being present is more descriptive of what we are about than anything we have done or do. Intimate contact is with a living presence, not a set of genitals or words that promise love. As adults, we may see a beautiful body and think, having that to myself will make me happy. What happened to us that made us so confused as to think our needs could be fulfilled by a pretty face? The word affection comes from affect, feeling. Affection refers to closeness both on the physical and on the feeling level. Physically, it includes the spectrum of touch, from holding to sex. Affection is also a quality of feeling. In this respect, it includes kindliness, considerateness, thoughtfulness, playfulness, and romantic gestures like giving flowers or remembering a special anniversary. Affection flows from a genuine liking of someone. If affection is only a strategy for sex, it is not intimate, but manipulative. In adult relationships, there is intimacy without sex at times, and sex with intimacy always. Affection looks different in the romantic phase of a relationship than it does in the conflict phase. In the former, it may have more of a sexual dimension. In conflict, it may mean patient working through of mutual concerns. Finally, sex is meant to manifest all 5 A's. In healthy relationships, sex is attentive, accepting, appreciative, affectionate, and wildly allowing. As a wise adult, I will know the difference between sex with someone who is doing it the way he does it, and sex with someone who does it in a way that arises from our specific bond. Real love does not come off the rack. It is uniquely tailored by the lover to the beloved. Part of the pain of letting go of someone who really loved you is letting go of being loved in that special way. Affection includes nearness, loving presence. We receive real affection when someone is committed to being beside us often. This does not mean constant cohabitation, but reliable availability. It is the opposite of abandoning and distancing. A child is abandoned every time a parent notices distance and lets it go by without comment or amendment. That child may grow up to say, "I felt abandoned and hurt when mother saw my pain and did not comfort me." Another adult may say, "In my childhood, I felt something was being taken from me when I was hugged or held. So when I'm touched, I'm afraid of losing myself." Contemplating this pain and the pain that caused our parents to act the way they did leads to compassion for ourselves and the other flawed characters in our touching story. Mindfulness is the path to loving presence. Mindful contact is unconditional in granting the 5 A's and unconditioned by the creations of the ego, such as fear, demand, expectation, judgment, or control. Is the following description of mindful affection familiar? You are loved the way you are. The need for affection is fulfilled when you are loved unconditionally all the time and genuinely liked most of the time. This loving and liking is demonstrated both verbally and physically. Such love and liking confer a sense of personal power. As Freud said, to enjoy a mother's love is to become a conquistador. In childhood, physical contact has no sexual component or price. This makes it possible to feel safe and prized for who you are, rather than for what you can provide to fulfill the inappropriate needs of a parent. Every cell of your little body knew the difference between being held supportively and being clutched to fulfill a parent's needs. You knew when something was being given and when it was being taken. Compassion is a form of affection. It is love's response to pain. This means being willing to acknowledge pain and caring about how you feel within it. It is a willingness to be in it with yourself. This empathy has a soothing quality, a sure sign of being loved. In fact, the empathy we receive throughout life is the equivalent of parental nurturance. Since your parents' opinion was so crucial to you in early life, to be unloved may make you feel unlovable and responsible for it. Love can later be equated with measuring up to another's standards and can be tied to a sense of obligation. You may feel this way toward partners all your life and never know the ancient story behind it. Finally, as one finger is not the hand, so affection is not love, but only part of it. To be held and cuddled but not allowed later to make choices freely and without blame will soon be revealed as inadequate and untrustworthy. The 5th A, allowing. In a good enough holding environment in early life, I learned that it is safe to be myself, knowing and showing my deepest needs and wishes. This happens in a family with an embrace wide enough to include all of me. Given such a welcome in the world, I gain a sense of stability and coherence, and I develop a reliable source of self-support, a nurturant inner parent who knows how to tolerate my feelings, no matter how contradictory or painful they may be. I reach out for healthy relationships, that is, those that give me all the 5 A's. But not everyone has the benefit of such a childhood. Some parents set rigid strictures on eating, sleeping, clothing, grooming, all to suit their own needs or standards, rationalizing that such strictures are crucial to a child's health. In our childhood home, it may have felt unsafe to be ourselves. We may have noticed that to be real meant losing the love of those from whom we needed it most. We may then have become whatever others needed us to be, as the price of being loved. The false self that resulted must eventually give way to a truer version if intimacy is ever to work for us. If it was never safe to be ourselves, if we had to conceal what we were, we may not really believe in our talents and virtues now, feeling like imposters and frauds. Trying to live in accord with the needs and wishes of others is like being a cygnet and trying to become a duck just because you find yourself living in a duck pond. The false self is that of a conformist who is a royal heir in hiding. Psychologically healthy adults come from a background of flexibility, not severity. Early needs, like all needs, are best fulfilled in an atmosphere of joy and forgiveness. In such a garden, crocuses ceaselessly pop up, yielding blooms of personal stability and self-nurturant powers, just the qualities that make intimacy possible in later life. Without healthy allowing in childhood, we may choose a controlling partner and tell ourselves, "I have to do it his way or else." We do not notice others' attempts to manipulate us. We can be fooled by a relationship that looks good, but is full of demands and expectations. Yet even standing amid the ashes of continual submission, we may someday find a personal internal liberty, insisting on agreements made bilaterally rather than unilaterally, on cooperation rather than dominance. Submission is compliance with the deepest needs, values, and wishes of others, not our own. But compliance can become defiance. We do not allow others to control us once we are healthy, but we do understand and feel their pain when we realize that control is a compulsion. Most controlling people can't help themselves. They are not in control of the controlling. They are not insulting us by trying to control us. Rather, they automatically take charge and dominate people and situations. They do this because of a chilling fear that they cannot handle letting the chips fall where they may. It takes a spiritual program to be liberated from this compulsion to be controlling and to become compassionate toward controlling people. A higher power than ego has to kick in, because ego will not give itself up easily or become so gently tolerant. The Irish poet William Butler Yeats wrote of the special person who, quote, loves the pilgrim soul in you, unquote. Mirroring freedom means encouraging the liveliness and passion in others rather than squelching it for our own good or safety. The pilgrim soul also implies going. True allowing means letting someone go. To allow is to stand aside when someone needs space from us or even leaves us. This is an A in courage. Emily Dickinson wrote, "They shut me up in prose, as when a little girl. They put me in the closet because they liked me still." Her poems tell us they did not succeed. Some people just have the pluck to resist control, or they learn it along the path of life, making it impossible for others to prevent their self-emergence. She won't let me be myself becomes she can't stop me. This formula applies to love as well. He won't let me love him can become he can't stop me from loving him. Thus, unconditionality is the profoundest key to personal power. Is the following description of allowing familiar to you? You instinctively seek the full range of motion and emotion in the course of your development. Yet you can feel in the psychological air of your home a heartfelt permission to be yourself, to have your own thoughts and to express them without fear of punishment, to make your own choices, even to step out of line, to go outside the box. You have the freedom to accomplish the two primary tasks of maturation: to separate from your parents and to develop as a unique person. The relationship is not at risk, no matter what feelings you express. In fact, you think to yourself, I always knew I could say or feel anything here. You are allowed by your parents to see, tell, touch, talk, be separate, protect yourself, pursue your own talents, relationships, and interests. You do not often hear, you have no reason to be scared. You had better not get mad or sad or even glad. Or, how dare you say no? When love is the life force of a relationship or family, each member becomes fully complete as himself. This is the alternative to control, which generates a false self. If you didn't receive the gift of freedom, you may have heard things like this. You will never do as well in school as your brother does. As a child, did you feel there's no way to say it? Did you have to ask yourself, what does it take to matter here? Or did you know deep down that all it took was to be yourself? Did your parents represent the world as scary? You always have to be careful, instead of, you have it in you to take care of yourself, go for it. Were you not surprised when you first went to school and felt scared and controlled? Because you had been taught at home that's what the world was like. What is the difference between control and limit setting? Control is meant to make you what others need you to be. Limit setting makes it safe for you to be yourself. Paradoxically, we can't achieve freedom without limits. They are the holding environment in which we flourish. Limits are at first the arms around us, and then the word no. Even a sanctuary has gates around it. How else can it provide safety? There is a connection between freedom and self-confidence. When you are kept from expressing your deepest needs and wishes, you lose trust in their validity and in your own judgment. You survive by finding out the rules and following them, thus hiding what you really want. You make it your purpose in life to please others rather than to affirm yourself. If you felt free within your family, you can more easily trust a supportive authority, such as a loving teacher or therapist. Those who show mindful authority without blame or unilateral judgment, the elements of ego that create opposition to authority, we discover what Shakespeare referred to in Measure for Measure. Our own, quote, unknown sovereignty, unquote. Human authority and hierarchy are useful and legitimate when they empower us to take our own initiative, but not when they subjugate and belittle us.